Hey y'all, hi. It's time for another episode of New Makeup Hot Takes. I didn't know it was gonna be such a party. I just filmed another video, and usually I change my tops between videos so that we'll be able to see easily at a glance in the footage, like which footage goes with which video. I forgot to bring another top down, so I just put on one of the dresses that I had hanging in the background. It's this Kemi Telford dress, which is my Christmas dress. I actually don't know why I haven't worn it for a video before. And I'm actually not really feeling like it's a party because when I sat down to prep this video, like I went through Trend Mood 1, the Instagram account that posts about new makeup, seeking new releases that are of interest enough to be worthy of my discussion on this channel. It could just be my mood. I was like in my feelings and just everything looked bad, boring. And I think upon reflection that it's just that a lot of things aren't to my taste. And that doesn't mean that I can't talk about them. So I'm kind of rallying. I'm going to take a deep breath and make it work, as they say. But I think it's going to be a lot of me talking about why. I mean, it's kind of what I always do, talking about why I'm not going to buy something. But in this case, it's very like petty reasons why things aren't to my taste. I think that that's the vibe. Last time I filmed New Makeup Hot Takes, there were a lot of things that I kind of had to talk myself down off the ledge about. And this time it's like, where even is the ledge? We're like in the middle of the desert. No ledge in sight, which is fine. If you've never watched my channel before and you're just here because you're like, I like new makeup and I like hot takes, I certainly hope you enjoy it. And I'm so glad that you clicked on this one. My name is Hannah, and this is a beauty channel that has a thread of conscientiousness about overconsumption running through it. I myself am on a journey away from overspending on beautiful things, so I try not to promote overspending. And in that spirit, I usually approach new releases with a bit of a grain of salt, trying to find a reason not to buy them, which hopefully will be easy today. Perhaps if you like it, you'll subscribe to my channel, and let's find out. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Okay, so initially I scrolled and scrolled looking for something that was worth a mention. And I finally kind of scraped it together by seeing that there are like a lot of complexion products released, which usually does intrigue me. I have become a makeup wearer who has a vested interest in fresh formulas for the complexion, especially because complexion is kind of my main agenda with makeup. I mean, I love eye makeup, I love blush, I love lip products, but if I'm gonna do one thing on any given day, it's gonna be cancel out my redness, conceal my spots, even out my skin tone, try to make my face match my neck. Complexion's kind of like the main gig. So why is it that I was just scrolling past all of these new complexion releases without giving them a second glance? Actually, I was giving them a glance and I was like, boring. Annoying. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood. This is what it looks like. I know you can't tell. It's because I'm a professional. This is what a professional YouTuber's bad mood looks like. No, the reason is this. I have become highly attuned over the past 2 years to the nuances of my own complexion. I used to just think, oh, I'm so pale and neutral, and so it's really hard to find stuff. It's hard to find base products. But it's not just that. I've learned that skin tones aren't just light to dark and pink to yellow, right? That's what most brands, they're like, we've got light to dark, and at each level of value, we've either chosen golden undertones or pink undertones, which are sometimes called warm and cool. But it is just not how it works. I think that is sort of like a piece of the pie, right? Those are two of the spectrums of complexion, but there are way more undertones than just golden and peach. My undertone, for example, is olive, and all of the undertones can be present in very light and very deep skin, not just in certain mid-tone shades. There's also, I think, an under-recognized spectrum, which is the spectrum of saturation. Two people can have basically the same undertone and even kind of basically the same value of their skin, like around the same range in terms of the light to dark spectrum, but just a different level of saturation of pigment to their skin. And when I figured this out, it made so much sense because I realized that, especially back in the day when there were way fewer choices for complexion, the battle that I was always fighting, it wasn't necessarily just that everything was too dark or that everything was too pink or too yellow. Everything was also too saturated. Clearly, I am up on my soapbox. Not 5 minutes into the video, I'm up on my soapbox about complexion. Maybe now you can tell that I'm in a mood because this is the left turn we've taken. This is all just to say, because I have gone on this journey and I've gathered all of this knowledge, when I see a shade range that has launched with what to me is like regressive representation of nuance in shade ranges, like a spectrum of light to dark with some shades yellow and some shades pink. Like when I see that, I'm like, what is this? 2005? I'm like, you noobs, like, haven't you heard about saturation? Haven't you heard about olive undertones? And it's just me, right? Like, yeah, these concepts have been around for a long time. Just because I have become aware of how I, one person, fit into all of this just in the past year and a half, it has, of course, not changed the way in which makeup companies are choosing to engage in these spectrums and which ones they're choosing to ignore. I have just become quickly dismissive of new complexion launches if they don't seem to have thought about the lightest end of their shade range further than just the very traditional, like, very, very palest shade is extremely pink. The next palest shade is extremely yellow, almost as pale, but extremely yellow. And then the third one is often what they're calling neutral, but it's usually not really that neutral. And what we need, the Hannah Louise Postons of the world, what we need is like gray. You know, we need that desaturation. You can't just water down yellow with white until it's pale enough. You need to mix in some gray. That's what I mean by desaturation. Oh my gosh, I have to stop talking about this and move on. I haven't even mentioned a single piece of new makeup. So Laura Mercier has released a new foundation, a weightless foundation that blurs the line between makeup and skin. Sounds great in theory, but what is going on at the lightest end of the shade range is exactly what I just described. The lightest shade they're calling a neutral, it's peach. The second lightest is yellow as a lemon. Like, it's what? And then the third one is like pink as a pig. And I'm just like, Laura, it's a no. Guerlain has released a new foundation. I want it. The perfection of a foundation. That's what the copy says. Oh, the perfection of a foundation, the lightness and radiance of a powder. That makes more sense. I thought that the tagline was the perfection of a foundation, like they'd perfected foundation. It's a long-wearing, light texture, medium coverage. Seems a little bit like that thing where they're sort of promising a bunch of stuff that's all at cross purposes to itself. But the thing that I care the most about is, again, the lightest shade looks sort of peach, and then the next two or three just look very golden. Even the models all look very golden. Their skin just looks very saturated. You know, there's nobody here with those grayish green undertones. And that's just the choice they've made, but that's the choice that makes me click away really quickly. And the same is going on with the KVD concealer. Same thing going on. Makeup Forever has released a powder foundation, which I have kind of an interest right now in powder foundation. And it does look, the lightest shade looks really bright yellow, but it looks a little closer. However, I still really want to try the new NARS release, that powder. A lot of you want me to review it, and I want to review it too. It's just been sold out in my shade everywhere since it launched. So because that is still sort of hanging over my head, the Makeup Forever one has a little bit less interest for me. A classic reason not to buy something. That's a little bit more reasonable than just me griping about saturation. A little bit more how I usually approach things when I'm not a fuss budget. Let's move on to talking about some regular stuff in a normal way, okay? Armani Beauty Luminous Silk Glow Blush, powder blush. So I feel like I've seen people saying like it's the year of blush or it's the year of powder blush, the return of powder blush. I'm not super mad at it. I mostly have cream blushes, but once in a while I find myself actually relatively frequently reaching for a powder blush just for ease of use. Sometimes it's the thing that's gonna be the least messy or testy, you know? And I have a couple, the colors of which I really like. I do have the cream version of this, like the, what was it called? Melting Color Balm, the Armani Melting Color Balm in a really cool like brown shade that I love. I mean, it's one of my most used makeup products and I have pan on it. And there is one color here in the bottom left-hand corner. It looks like beige, sort of like a neutral beige. That is pulling on my heartstrings. It's like, it's saying, Hannah, I would be the powder version of the one that you love. But here's the thing. No, it wouldn't. It would be like a peach. I know that it would. A powder blush that looks this color in the pan, it's telling lies to me. It would be really peach bright on me. If it were much more brown and cool toned, then maybe it would have a chance at rivaling the Melting Color Balm that I have. But overall, these colors, none of them really grip me because they're all really, really bright and saturated. And I'm just not looking to add blush to my collection that is that way, like is a statement in that way right now because I have plenty of blush. If anything, I would want the most neutral and the palest one, but I think that even it in this shade range would be on me brighter than it looks. So that is the way in which I'm swiping left. Can you tell that I met my husband before Tinder existed? Swiping it away, this release, right? Whichever way you swipe when you're not interested. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Same story with the HAUS Labs by Lady Gaga blushes. I guess if I had ever stopped to think about it, I would have seen this coming a mile away because when she launched, there were bronzers and highlighters. I actually reviewed this brand, and the powder formulas are really great. I love the bronzer. I love the highlighter, but it had a very gold undertone. I ended up giving it away. I kept the bronzer in my end-of-year declutter, and I don't usually like bronzers because I feel like they're usually too orange. I mean, it's not just my feelings. It's facts. They usually are too orange. But the lightest bronzer in the Lady Gaga range is like kind of a special color and it really works. And I just love the kind of cream to powder. It's a very creamy powder. I wonder if this is supposed to be the same. It says velvety soft, buildable color, smooth second skin finish. I think it's probably more of a powder than the bronzer, which is definitely like a cream to powder. They would be advertising it that way if it were the same formula. The thing that makes this an easy pass for me though is again, the colors. Just they're all really bright and super saturated, which I know is great for a lot of people. Like that's the name of the game with blush for a lot of people. And I'm not saying that these are all trash, like not at all. I think a lot of people are gonna love these probably. And I was more favorably impressed by HAUS Labs than I expected to be. So I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. It's just for me, as a crabby person looking for a reason not to buy something, this one is easy. I just don't like any of the colors. In the pan, hibiscus, haze, and pomelo peach maybe, but then in those swatches, even if they're photoshopped, I mean, I think they're photoshopped, but not the cheek swatches. Yeah, the fair and light model and all of in the cheek swatches, in every single color, she just looks like she's wearing a really bright blush and they all kind of look the same on her, you know? So the colors all kind of look not exactly the same, but kind of close to the same on all the models. Like if you look at this grid of all the models, or maybe that is just my mood talking. There are the slight nuances that one would expect if you stare at it for a long time. But my first impression looking at this grid with all the models' faces is just, these are 5 really punchy blushes and that's not what I'm in the market for, so that's fine. Swipe, swipe. I feel like this Cosmic Brushes, is that the brand of this palette? There's this palette on Trend Mood called the Muse palette. There's no brand tagged, but Trend Mood says hashtag revealed, hashtag eyeshadow palette, hashtag cosmic_brushes. I've never heard of the brand Cosmic Brushes. It looks like it's based in the UK. I'm not gonna buy this. I just feel like it's worth a mention because the color story strikes me as extremely original, gripping, strong, unique. I mean, it's just jumping off the screen in and amongst all of these boring releases as a very thoughtfully designed, elaborate palette. It's inspiring, right? It makes me want to dupe the vibes. It makes me want to build a little palette of my own singles, including some colors like this. I think in cases like these, if I were considering buying it, like say there were a number of things about this, like the brand and the formula, if I were familiar with it, or if I'd been craving green and purple or something, you know, say I really did want to buy it for some reason, here's how I would talk myself down if I was trying to buy less. By remembering that when you actually put eyeshadow on your eyes, you only ever use a handful of colors. And in this palette, there are so many colors, so many different colors. And the way that all those colors look together is what's creating the impact. So it's really this like kind of painterly 20 color party that we're looking at. You're looking at these 20 colors all singing together the way that they would if they had been all used in a painting, you know? You look at that painting and you're like, oh my gosh, I love all those colors working together. I really love the way that it looks. And it's really tempting. But you just have to remember that the painting that you're painting on your eyes isn't going to look like that. It's not going to look like this. It's always going to be an edit of these 20 colors, just like picking one main one and then maybe a couple of accent colors. I think that a lot of times when we buy palettes like this just impulsively because you love it so much, you just have to have it. It's easy to forget in those moments that the color story as we see it here just only exists inside of the palette and it isn't really a tool for creating that color story on your body. But there is something to be said for the artistic work of putting a palette together, and I think in this case it's been done particularly well. Oh, here's more evidence of more reminiscences of my grumpiness when we were going through. So Lisa Eldridge, new gloss embrace colors, which is fine. I had one of these, I reviewed one of these. Some Lisa Eldridge makeup has impressed me quite a lot formulaically, and some of it has just felt like I could take it or leave it, and I kind of felt take it or leave it about the lip gloss formula. It was just like shiny, pretty, but a bit sticky, if I'm remembering correctly. I do like the soft mauve and the berry. I've been really into like a sheer berry for a lip gloss lately, as long as it's grounded in brown, which this one definitely is. Oh, it's sorcery. Yeah, it looks pretty. But when I was scrolling through and I saw this, I was like, all I want is for her to bring back in stock the colors of the Lucent lip color that I didn't buy because I was on a no-buy when they released, and there were a couple of colors I really wanted. I feel like she keeps saying, oh yeah, they're going to restock by the end of the year, which is so absurd for me to feel that way because I'm trying to buy less this year as it is, so even if they did restock, I probably wouldn't buy them. But I had that like petty makeup lover's disgruntled gripe when I saw this release. I was like, fine, like that's all well and good, you're releasing new lip glosses, but what about the restock of the old ones? When I see people commenting stuff like that, I'm always like, calm down, Mary. But for some reason, I'm feeling like that today. No, in all reality, these are very pretty colors. I like the sheer one, the iridescent one. I like the entire top row quite a lot. I know there are some people for whom the bottom row will be the ticket, but like assessing it objectively or as objectively as I can in this moment in my life, good choices. Like good choices if you're going to expand on this shade range. Oh, here's some hot steaming makeup tea. Some hot goss. Makeup Revolution, the dupe lab, right? Like the dupe suppliers has duped the Jones Road Miracle Balm. It tickles me because, I mean, this is what Makeup Revolution does, right? They're always launching products that are very clearly designed to imitate other products. But it's only recently that Jones Road Miracle Balm came across my radar aggressively enough that I was like, I should probably review this. And I reviewed it, and so many people have watched the video. Like, I had no idea that there was such a voracious desire for information about the Jones Road Miracle Balm. And now, just in the wake of that having happened over here on my little channel, Makeup Revolution's like, oh, we knew, like we cottoned on and we formulated a dupe. It's the Balm Glow Multi-Way Balm to glaze your cheeks, eyes, and lips. Eyes. You're not supposed to put Miracle Balm on your eyes, so I guess it's a little bit different in that way. I mean, the colors look pretty. I'm not really a Makeup Revolution aficionado over here. I just had to bring it up. And hilariously, Jones Road has launched a new shade of Miracle Balm, Miami Beach, which looks really pretty, but it was featured on Trend Mood like 2 or 3 posts before the Makeup Revolution announcement, so it kind of adds insult to injury. I mean, if you're insulted, like if Jones Road was insulted, if Bobbi Brown was insulted. Ooh, this one, this is like a classic, kind of got me where I live, and then I immediately pulled out my reason not to buy it and like swiped it away, swatted it away. Tower 28 Cream Bronzer. So Tower 28 is perennially sort of coming for my wig. Like, I love the aesthetic. I love the formulas of the things that I've tried. I love the colors. I just want and then like buy and use and love Tower 28 and be just like a Tower 28 wearer over here. However, my first foray into Tower 28 brought me up hard against the problem with Very Clean Beauty that doesn't use any kind of preservatives, actually, which is that it goes off so quickly. I've heard other people talk about this problem or like trade-off. It's like the trade-off that you make if you want your makeup not to have those kinds of preservatives in it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and particularly Tower 28 specifically, and how quickly things go off. And the lip gloss, which was the thing that I got, I loved that formula so much. I loved the lip gloss formula. I bought 2 shades for myself, and it was like mere months later, they were both going off, like smelling and looking weird. I think that the only way I could have really gotten anything resembling good use out of them is if I had bought just one and used only it for a couple of months until I'd used it up, which, to be fair, is the way that a lot of people use makeup. Like, a lot of people just have lip gloss and they don't have lipstick and they don't have like a drawer of lip products to select from every day the way that I do, because I review makeup as part of my job. So they just buy one thing and they use it every day till they use it up. And if that's you, then there's no problem with this Tower 28 short shelf life thing. And that used to be me back in the day. I used to just get like one blush at a time and use it up. But that is me no longer, right? I kind of require my products to have a little bit more stick-to-itiveness than that because I'm rotating them, I'm cycling through with other things. And those Tower 28 lip glosses that I had, I only used a little bit of each of them before they started going off, whereas I have other lip glosses from other brands that have lasted for a long time. And they're, holding their own just fine, even in that cyclical environment. So that is the reason not to buy. And that is what has kept me from buying Magic Hour. Is that what it is? The the Tower 28 blush, which I've swatched in store and I really want, and it looks beautiful and has been recommended to me, but I know that I won't get anywhere close to good use out of it before it starts going off. And I've heard people talking about how quickly the cream cheeks from Tower 28 go off. So every time I think about that, the desire to buy it just dies. And that's how it is with these two, because they're cream bronzer. Just the lightest shade looks pretty. I'm sure the texture is gorgeous. I'm sure I would really love it for like 5 minutes and then it would start growing mold. A new Gucci foundation. Is this the same one? I guess this is the kind of information you are hoping to get from me. So maybe I should look it up. No, it's not the same one. So this is the Eternité de Beauté foundation from Gucci Makeup, which is my Achilles heel, for those of you who don't know. It's like a blurring, shine controlling matte foundation. And then their other one, which has been out for a long time, is the Fluide de Beauté, which is a natural finish foundation. So I've always wanted to try, actually, the other one. And you know, it's a hefty shade range, really pretty. It's a little bit hard to tell about the lightest shades just through the bottles. I think in store, when I've swatched the Fluide de Beauté, it's been like too bright, too peach, too yellow. You know what I mean? Like there is definitely not like a desaturated grayish olive, super pale, like a few brands these days do have. There's definitely not one here. That's the thing that has kept me from trying the other foundation, I think. And the other thing is the price. Because even for a review, it's like hard to know if it would be worth it. I mean, this one's $67. I think that's what the other one is too. Yeah, $68, $69, depending on where you get it. I don't really have anything to say. Gucci Beauty like has a hold on me. I'm interested in everything they do. I don't even like matte foundation. I guess what I can say is that this is my reason not to buy, even from a brand that has a hold on me. There probably isn't a color match for me, and I don't like matte foundation. So I am observing that this new formula has been released with an academic interest. Oh my gosh, here's something though. Of all the things, this is the one that gave me that feeling. Of all the things that have been released since I last filmed one of these. HERMES bronzer. It's the Plein Air Healthy Glow Mineral Bronzer. The pans just look so pretty. Like, can we get this on a scarf? Can we get this pattern like on a dress, on a sweater or a blouse? It's just so pretty. Those like tonal shades pressed in. I would like to see this shade range go about twice as far in the deep direction as it does. It's because they're like mixed colors. It's a little bit hard to tell, and there are no swatches, you know, but this definitely doesn't cover everyone, which is a real shame. As far as I can tell, I mean, there's only the pictures of the products and there's no information about how it's supposed to apply or what it's supposed to do. You know, if it's supposed to be kind of like a sheer finishing powder type bronzer, like the Chantecaille powders that I've been talking about recently, then maybe that darkest shade could stretch, or if it's like a little bit highlighting, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's supposed to be like bronzer. And the lightest shade, I mean, part of why I respond to this is that the lightest shade has those rosy undertones that a real, authentically natural looking bronzer on me has to have, because when I get sun, I turn pink like that rather than tan or orange. That looks like it would be a really beautiful summer cheek color for me. But because it's so not bronze, it does kind of make me think that there's like a sheer wash of color on the cheeks thing going on here rather than like a true like bronze up the face thing going on. I follow its career with interest. I've never tried any Hermes makeup, but people send me the little links from time to time because it's so pretty. I would say the reason not to buy at this moment is a lack of information about what it's trying to achieve. I'm just compelled by the aesthetics. I'm just like, wow, each one looks pretty and they all look pretty there together. But that doesn't have to mean that I buy it, you know? There's a lot of pretty stuff out there, and I'm just letting it be pretty somewhere else for free to me. Admiring it from here doesn't cost anything. All right, I've had it. Let me just knock out these last two. Charlotte Tilbury, like teeny tiny pink eyeshadows in individual compacts. Just two colors. Ultraviolet, the bright pink it seems like a little bit of a departure for her, which I'm proud of her for. It's like go out on a little bit of a limb. But overall, it's just like, why like a little tiny dinky thing? That's my hot take. That's all I got. The last thing I was going to talk about was this Guerlain release, and I think I had like a reference for this. So they really did the most with this denim and bees thing. Luckily for me, as someone who doesn't want to buy stuff right now, it's not up my alley. You know what I mean? I can do without the denim and bees Guerlain packaging and the colors, right? The lip is too just like straightforward peachy pink for me. The primary blue, purple, yellow, brown primary colors like in that palette, no, I would maybe just use the brown. There's nothing about this that makes me want it. So that's really easy. But I threw it in here because I feel like it was sort of like I was going to comment on Charlotte Tilbury and how she just does the same thing over and over, but she doesn't. I mean, she does, but that bright pink was like a little bit of a departure. The thing that struck me in like thinking again about Charlotte Tilbury and how she never seems to stray very far. And it's not just her, it's like other things that I scrolled past, like Huda Beauty releasing another 9-pan. It's so similar. I didn't even like notice it when I was scrolling the first time. And then I was like, oh, I guess another palette from Huda Beauty, but it made no impression on me. But I feel like this, even though I'm not interested in this bright blue and this bright yellow, this is how you keep things interesting, you know? This is how you create texture in your brand. I don't really know how recently Guerlain has released like other eyeshadows, but I imagine that there's some like neutral stuff sort of holding down the fort. And then every once in a while you make a splash with something like this. Kind of like how most of the Tom Ford quads are neutral, but then there's that one that has like bright purple and a bright orange in it. I just feel like sometimes you have to go there a little bit, you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to do like denim and bees and blue and yellow and just give us a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So even though I'm not compelled to buy this, I really think it's exciting and I think it's giving us something. At least it's giving us something, you know? And on a day when, to me, almost everything was giving me nothing, I just felt like it was worth a mention. And that's all I'm going to say. That's my hot take. I'm coming back to the middle. That is it. I hope you enjoyed your time here at my grumpy party. I mean, maybe this is the ticket for me to create convincing videos about how unnecessary everything is in makeup. It's not like I'm in a bad mood overall. It's not like bad things are happening and I'm sitting here stewing or something. I just found myself when I started looking at new releases, I found myself with pretty short patience for, dare I say, like all the BS, like all of the just same old, you know? I was just like, give me something to sink my teeth into. And almost nobody did. I appreciate you all so much for liking and commenting on my videos and subscribing to my channel. Thank you for being here. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. New makeup, hot takes. 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 New makeup, hot takes.